virtual.
You should.
Setting.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
This is the way.
And I mean, to my own detriment. Okay. Hello.
What's up? What's going on?
New
We're
episode
chilling.
of the interview thing that I do sometimes. And this episode, I got Ace.
What's up? That's what's up, dude.
RNRG,
RNRG.
MAD, Eliminators now.
Yep.
Straight Edge Legend.
I am. That's true.
Yeah, I guess we're just talking about his podcast.
I do
series.
a podcast as well, Forum of Passion.
Check it out if you haven't.
Please
checked it out because
Yeah.
it's pretty dope. This guy's been around a minute, a lot longer than me, and has a very deep knowledge of the core, and also just has a lot of connections with cool people and stuff. I was gonna say though that one of the guests that I liked watching and I thought was really interesting was because I got into it through the bass stuff. And then I was like, okay, that's cool. Like everyone, like I didn't know who you were at the time.
Sure,
like,
sure, yeah.
This was like years ago.
Yeah, because I only moved to the Bay 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So like, and a lot of people didn't know who I was around here.
So I was like, okay, I don't know who this guy is. Like, it's cool that he's like interviewing these dudes, but like everyone's interviewing them at that point. You know, that was when they're like they're blowing up.
Exactly.
Like everyone's like really
all the
fucking
tsunami
with them.
people, all
Gulch
like
people,
Gulch people and stuff.
Exactly.
Actually, come to think of it, now that we're talking about it, I interviewed the Gulch people. I interviewed Elliot before I moved out here.
Yeah.
Because I remember the studio that I did it in back. So he was like an early one. And then when I got here, it was like, I don't know why Joseph and I didn't do it in person, but Joseph, like Dirt later, like Brandon was in like an in-person one at Mark's studio. So it was like, I started doing that when I got out here. Yeah.
But one of the earlier ones that I went backwards actually through your catalog.
A lot of people do that. I appreciate that.
And I was like, oh, this guy interviewed Brendan from Turnstile. He interviewed Justice from Trapped Under Ice.
Early
and I was
days.
like, I was like, whoa, what the
Early
fuck?
days.
Okay, this guy like must know a lot of people.
Well, Justice and I live with each other.
That's what I heard in the interview, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is dope. So I checked out those ones
for like about a year, and like early Turnstile. I was in a band from 2010 to 20. It was 2019, but it was really more done in like 2018, to be honest. But I was in this band, and it was Breakaway, and like we played like a lot of like early Turnstile stuff
for sure.
People didn't know it was like.
I mean, you're close to them too,
physically, because they live in Baltimore,
Richmond, Baltimore.
It was 3 hours away from each other.
Yeah.
Like we played Turnstile's like second gig, and it was like us, this band Mindset, which is a band that like Breakaway was just kind of trying to like sort of emulate in a way. And this local band Deadbeat, and then Turnstile. And I remember something that was interesting about that show was that like they already had merch. They had played their first show like the night before, I think, and they already had merch with like live shots on it. And I remember being like,
"Fuck yeah,
how did you?" And I guess what would happen is during TUI sets, Brendan would get on the mic, get off the kit, and get on the mic for a song or something.
Gotcha.
And they took a picture from that
of just him in the crowd,
and was like, "This is
for sure."
So,
I mean, that's the thing though, like. Just from what I've heard from like early Turnstile sets, like apparently they were pretty crazy from the get.
Dude,
so, I mean,
from jump
it would have been believable, you know, kind of.
Dude, yeah. From jump, it was like, because it was like the TUI people already like rocked with like pretty heavy, and then like like they came out the gate almost like a more
melodic,
palatable.
Yeah, exactly.
TUI. But they had like really good energy, and it was like a little bit of a super group because Daniel Fang was in this Baltimore band Mindset, and he was in Praise, and
Brendan
Trapped Under Ice. Sam Trapkin was in it at the time.
Yeah, was Franz in it at the time?
I don't know. You know what I'm trying to remember? He may not have been.
I don't know Turnstile history, so
I think
check us in the comments.
Please, because I think that he may have joined pretty soon in the beginning. But if I remember correctly, and someone can correct me, I think he may not have known how to play bass really when he started.
I mean, I believe that
because I think like it was honestly it's like, yo man, like this guy just like, kind of like is like a sick mosher and like looks dope on stage.
He's like Dom Pabon.
Yeah, like yeah. It was like on some shit like that, and then like then he's like fucking sick at bass now. So it was like I think it was just like kind of like
15
getting
years
into
later,
it or whatever.
though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he probably got a little bit better somewhere in there, but like.
Once you start playing Camp Flog Gnaw,
you're doing like that kind of stuff. But like their existence is very interesting because it was I mean like hardcore then had a pretty like obvious cap Like there was a
like
pretty,
how far you could
there's
go
a
and
pretty
shit.
obvious ceiling of like where it could go, and then like around Glow On, like they were already doing like pretty good during Time and Space, but around Glow On that really like kind of like amongst the other things that really like broke the ceiling, you know, off
2018, 2019, and then Glow On
yeah.
2021.
Well, then I feel like it was like post lockdown.
I mean, post lockdown, all
like,
barriers were broken.
Well,
I
that's the
think.
thing is like that because like, you had like all the stuff in the Bay happening. You know, you had like Knocked Loose had gotten to like another level as well, and I mean, because prior to that, like the big three for a time period were just like Power Trip, Turnstile, and Code Orange.
Code Orange, yeah,
For
that
sure.
that
was and like
the
and
2010s
I'll be real.
powerhouses.
I'll be real. The gap between those three and like everything else was like
Insane.
kind of Terror was in there. That was a band that was in the middle.
Oh, but they've always been around.
But they've always been around, and
Yeah.
and I think like the gap in between there was like pretty wild. And then now it's like you have more of a breadth
of like here to local
Yeah,
band
yeah,
to
yeah.
hardcore bands playing metal
Absolutely.
fests and shit like that.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah, it's hardcore is interesting
Hardcore,
right
dude.
now. Yeah,
It's especially right now because I think that we're in this kind of interesting time period where, as a promoter, you know, like started out promoting shows in the East Coast, and then like started doing it here on the West Coast. Like I've seen ups and downs, and like the game prior to lockdown and the game after lockdown are completely different kind of things.
for sure.
And like after 2020, it's the kind of thing where like I keep sort of waiting for there to be some like serious drop off.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Serious kids not coming out anymore, and it hasn't really happened.
Yeah.
There's been like some, but not to the extent that I thought.
I will say, as somebody who hangs out with a lot of the youth,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of kids who have gotten into it in the last few years
Mm-hmm.
are kids who are still very much kids
Yeah.
and like they're teenagers in high
Mhm.
school and stuff. I think like maybe in like 4 years time maybe
Maybe.
it will, because everyone might be moving off
Moving
to
on, yeah.
college, jobs, stuff like that. Like I don't know.
Well,
Obviously.
that's another interesting thing you bring up, though, because there was a time period where I feel like the experience a lot of places, again, prior to lockdown, was like I was meeting people that were getting into hardcore more when they were like in college.
Yeah, totally.
And like, which I thought was strange because I got in my first show when I was like
Yeah, I was a teenager.
15.
Yeah.
You know? And then now I feel like it's like it's like that band like Start Today or something. It's like those are children.
I mean, the guitarist that plays in Stand Tall,
Yeah.
Cully, he's 14.
There you go.
And he was 12 when he started going to
Bingo.
shows.
You know, it's like that. Like I mean, that's real. Like Youth Crew '88, like Sammy Siegler
Yeah.
being a 14-year-old
Totally.
type shit. So it's like that was not happening for a minute though.
Yeah.
That wasn't. It wasn't like kids coming
The
out.
youngest age was like 22.
Oh, dog. I remember there was like a time back in Richmond when I was living there where it was like the youngest kid was like 25. Dude, it was, and there was like still, dude, the shows felt stale. It was a really weird year. Honestly, pandemic kind of helped like clean some people out and bring some new people. And I think they kind of did that everywhere.
For
though,
sure, yeah.
You know,
Because it's kind of like a fad. I feel like when you get into it when you're older, it's kind of like a almost like a trend
I mean,
that you might hop on or
That
whatever.
was another thing that was kind of happening during pandemic time period where it was like I was meeting dudes that were like 27,
Getting
that were
into
like,
it.
I'm getting into hardcore, and I'm like,
Whoa, bro, you were about 10 years too late, bro.
Whoa, brother, that's a weird vibe.
Yeah.
But you know, like what have you. But yeah, so I think 2025. This is being recorded in the beginning of 2025. I think it'll be an interesting year to kind of see like what rises, what falls. I'm
Yeah.
always thinking about this stuff, like not just as a promoter, but just like a lover of hardcore music. So, I don't know.
Has it gotten as a promoter?
Mhm.
Has it gotten better since? What's different, I guess, from before the pandemic to now? Like in terms of like touring bands coming through. Like
Okay.
do you have to deal with like more managers and like
Definitely.
booking agents
Absolutely.
and being like, oh, we gotta have a local on the show, and the managers are being like, no
Dog.
locals.
Okay, so prior to pandemic, there was like, let me think about this. Max like 5 to 10 agents,
Yeah.
maybe, that were doing hardcore. Publications did not give a shit about anything hardcore related. You would never see like anything hardcore related in like a magazine or anything. You might catch like one thing writing about terror, or like ages ago, like before my time, maybe like something like Refused,
Yeah,
like
totally.
American Nightmare or something like
for
that.
sure, for sure.
Turnstile was starting to kind of like pop up in like, you know, your random publications and stuff. You know, like money was completely different. Bands were getting way less money.
Yeah.
There was way less bands that were able to like live off of like the only bands that could like this is my job were like Terror, Turnstile,
Code
Power
Orange.
Trip, Code Orange for a time period,
Yeah.
and then like maybe stuff that kind of like leans more metalcore.
Yeah, of course.
But that's it, man.
Yeah.
Like from like my knowledge, I would actually be really
like 4 bands.
I would it would do like legitimately. I would be very interested for someone to be like, "Oh, you forgot about X, Y, or Z," because like I have to really rack my brain. But like it was not like that. You were doing it for like the love of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And
even like huge bands back in the day, like TY and stuff. Like that.
That wasn't like it was like those guys were making money, but those dudes had jobs.
Yeah, totally.
And they were like arguably at a time the biggest band.
Yeah, the biggest
out,
band. Yeah,
you know. So that just kind of goes to show you like what it was like, and like, and I can only speak kind of like for, you know, I did a lot of touring in the 2010s, a lot. I did touring in the 2010s, but like, I can only kind of speak for kind of like the eastern half of the United States.
Yeah.
Because my Breakaway only came to California 3 times, and one was a one-off at Sound and Fury, like early Sound and Fury.
Hell yeah.
We played for no money.
Yeah.
I was just, if you'll have us, we'll just show up.
I mean, kind of a dope vibe.
It was honestly a really sick weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
But and then like did a run with like Misery and Beautiful Ones one year, and then we right before we broke up, it was like Dead Heat, us, and this band Red Vision that would turn into Killing Pace.
Oh, dope.
So anyway, out here, I knew kind of like a little bit about out here, but like not really, like, you know, like that much. So I really only knew like the eastern half of the United States. But it's like, you know, if a show had like 100 to 150 people,
That's dope.
You're like, oh, nice. Like, you know, like
I still think that's dope.
I mean, I still think that's dope too. But there was no such thing as like multi-hundred people.
Shows, yeah.
All right, like this past year, Danny and I, and RNRG, like you know, the booking group that he and I have out here, we did a couple shows that were like a couple thousand people.
Yeah.
That is unheard of.
Yeah.
Then the biggest festival
multiple ones.
Yeah, multiple. 2. We did 2 this
them,
year.
Yeah.
The biggest festival out was This Is Hardcore, and I think the most that one ever did was like 3K, which was like top of the mountain kind of thing. Even Sound and Fury then wasn't like Sound and Fury is now.
No
it
way.
was like 1,600 people, I think, at like Belasco or Region. I can't remember which one it was. But like, and like United Blood, the festival that I had a hand in, was like, I think we capped out at like, I think the most people that ever came were like 1,000, and these were like huge numbers, you know, then or whatever. So then things change, and so now what you have is, and also you started seeing a drop off as well. In the question you asked, you started seeing a drop off on like early 2010s, a lot of full U.S. touring.
Yeah.
Back half of the 2010s, you saw people being like, because I always had to do this because I always had to have a job.
For sure.
Like right out of college, it was like weekends, festivals, and like you saw way less bands doing the full U.S. thing. Now we're back to bands doing full U.S.s. I swear.
Well, I think because you can break even easier.
Oh, I think you can. Yeah, exactly.
Or even make money.
Precisely.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about why like that had come back so hard, but you know what? You're right. That's got to be it.
Yeah.
Because I think before people would be like, well, why would I do that? We're going to be in the hole hard. We're going to be playing like 5 people in like Idaho or something, you know, kind of thing. Like, and now like I swear I won't say the name of the band, but I was talking to an agent this past week, and they were like, oh, this band's going to go on a 90-day tour, and this band's like not gigantic. Like
really?
I was like, I mean, they're popping, but I was like, I can't like it's like beyond my comprehension. But so you have like that more now. Obviously, shows are like bigger now. You know, I think there's like a little bit of a less like you know what? That's not true. I was gonna say there's like less of a regional feel, but the Bay definitely has a vibe.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
There's
like,
definitely a one scene unity vibe.
Oh yeah,
in the Bay,
and like
sure.
where it's like, but I think that's almost kind of a little special to hear though.
Yeah.
Like I don't think everywhere.
I mean, I'll even speak on like, at least from an outsider's perspective, it seems like even Southern California It's very like
yeah,
different promoters doing different
100%,
things in different areas,
100%,
but
dude.
all in like a 100-mile radius.
Precisely.
But whereas here,
like here, it's like you got kind of like
RNRG.
everybody. Well, I also try to like I was trying to explain to somebody like recently where they were like, oh, we want to do a show in Oakland, and then we want to do one in San Jose the next day. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's like
just do one.
I was like, just do one. All the kids are gonna go to
San Jose.
Yeah.
TBH.
Yeah, TBH. They're all gonna go to that, or they're gonna go to the other. Like, you know, like they're gonna pick one. It's not gonna be like, you know, I don't know. But so, you know, I things are very different. Like I'm giving you a long-winded answer to your question, but things are very different. But it's like it is a lot of. I deal with more bands with representation than not representation.
For sure.
I don't like that. But that's kind of just how it is right now. I always enjoy when a band just reaches out. Let me put it to you this way. A band from Korea just hit me up, and they hit me up themselves.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, dude, if they can do that on their own
yeah,
from another continent.
From literally thousands of miles away.
A lot of bands can do it just like themselves or whatever, but I think they feel this need that they're like, oh, if we're going to like get on this event or that event or like, you know, get play or whatever, it's like,
I mean, I'll use one of the biggest examples right now of a band. I mean, up until recently, like Joseph did everything for Tsunami.
100%.
Like
that's a prime example.
He was the only dude booking stuff.
Yeah,
I think now now they have
representation
stuff.
now, but like, it's like because they need it.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't need it before.
Exactly.
And now they've got like, I think they got, I mean, I heard rumor it's the same dude who does like Slipknot or something, but I'm not 100% on that. But I mean, like, yeah, like for people watching, every tour that Tsunami has done up until very recently.
I think the last full U.S.
Yeah, the last full U.S.
But it was.
I worked with an agent on that one, but it felt kind of.
It was Ingrown's.
That's what it was.
Booking.
That's what it was.
Sorry to.
Yeah. No.
Put that out there.
It's all good. The agent in question is a guy I like to work with a lot.
Okay,
His
cool.
Max Vick. He's very chill. He's the kind of guy that like, if you're the promoter and you tell him, you're like, hey man, this is the deal around here. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you're the man on the ground there. I'm gonna listen to you
For sure.
A lot of other agents, you'll tell them the deal.
They think they know
they're
everything.
like, oh, I know better than you. And it's like,
For sure.
That's actually not the case at all. But no, I like working with him quite a lot. A lot of like cooler stuff that Danny and I get, like some of the primo stuff, it usually comes from him.
For sure. Here's a question.
Yeah.
How did you join RNRG? Because I remember before like this last year, it was just Danny, and then also I mean Malachi before that.
So it was just Malachi prior.
Malachi started it before pandemic, and then after pandemic, Malachi's doing a bunch of stuff, obviously with Scal.
Yeah.
And then Danny kind of takes over. I remember him telling me and being like, him telling Malachi, okay, I got this, dude. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
And then you come into the picture after a while later.
Yes.
So how did you kind of get involved
How
with the
did that
RNRG
came
stuff?
to be was I had been a promoter in Richmond, Virginia since I was like 14 or 15. So it was like probably close to 20 years.
Totally.
Right about when I moved out here. And so I had a lot of experience. I'd done festivals and stuff and everything. And I get a lot out of doing shows.
Of course.
Like I like really like, even when it's like stressful and like there's like some roadblocks.
No, yeah, it's rewarding though.
The final product, the kind of like the culmination of things is like a really good feeling, and it's really good to see like mad people kind of come together and
have a good time
and like be proud of the scene and stuff like that. So I prior to that was doing that in Richmond, and it was very, I'm still very proud of like where I come from. I'm proud of the scene there. But I came out here and I was like telling Malachi, I was like, hey man, I noticed that you're like, on tour a lot with like Scal or whatever. And Danny had taken some of the reins, but there's something that Danny didn't know about. Danny didn't know about like the business side, quote unquote. Like when it was like he was getting emails asking for like signatures and like offer forms and things like that. He was like,
yeah, totally.
He was like, bro, he's like, I can get hella kids out here like on like kind of like a DIY like local kind of feel. but like I don't know what to do with like this bullshit.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't worry. When the time came, I was like, don't worry. I know that bullshit, unfortunately, very well. So,
Why do you know that bullshit?
well, because I had been booking like all these shows in Richmond, and I learned from a mentor above me, this guy Ryan Braces. He's
For
in
sure.
the band Brace War. He's one of the guys who does United Blood, and that's the guy.
Dope.
He's the guy who put me on.
Wow.
That's the guy. That's
fucking legend
he's a
right there,
legend.
bro.
He's a legend.
Straight up.
Like he's a good man. He's done a lot for me, and he did a lot for like
Hardcore.
yeah, for hardcore, and for like when I was in Breakaway, he put Breakaway on a ton, and that's my OG. So I learned a lot of things from him.
Gotcha.
And so then when I was like here, I was like, hey Malachi, if you ever need help, whatever, let me know. And I remember exactly what happened. Both of them were out of town for an ankle biter show at Stay Gold.
I played that show.
Oh hell yeah!
Yes, my band played
Angel?
our second show. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
I don't. We're done now. But
Okay, I know you're done, but it was that band though, yeah.
It was that band.
Okay,
Yep,
so and they were like, hey, can you run this? And I was like,
for sure.
yeah, I know how to, like, that's fine. I got it. So I ran it, and then, like, Malachi was like, yo, man, like, I'm gone a lot. Like, you seem to kind of, like, know, like, this stuff. Like, would you want to join up with us too? And so it was us three, actually, for a little. And then Malachi kind of was like, I'm doing scout stuff. I'm moving.
For sure.
Like,
Yeah.
And Danny had taken over a lot of it, but like I think Danny was getting stressed with how much.
Yeah.
Because bless Danny's heart, Danny doesn't really say no to anything. So
No.
whenever we get an
for sure.
offer,
Yes.
9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, Danny is like, let's do it. And I'm a little more like, let's pick and choose. But like, but the thing is, Danny has a ton of heart, and I think the fact that he does say yes to that stuff, like there's shows that have been really good that I otherwise would have said no to originally.
For sure.
That I'm like, okay, I'm glad he said, let's do it. So he and I just started kind of like symbiosis mode, working together. Like him kind of like man on the ground, like local, like me, a guy who was like really experienced doing this stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, like brought a lot of stuff in since I started. The first like official show that I was like, I am now part of RNRG was Speed at Cornerstone.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah,
It was like 2 years ago almost.
or
Yeah.
something.
It's like a year and a half
something
ago.
like that. Like
It was right after Sound and Fury,
yeah.
2023. So
Yeah,
it would have
yeah,
been
yeah.
like August or something.
Damn, it feels like I've been doing RNRG way longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's
August
about right.
2023.
Because I remember I was flying back from something, and
Yeah.
I like helped like with the show or whatever, but I landed like in the middle of it, so I didn't get to like go to it. But that was
Definitely.
the first one that was like this is it. And then kind of like going from there, and trying to like expand into like booking like not just like hardcore, but like some punk stuff, the occasional rock thing, and then like now we're even kind of like branching a little into like metal.
Yeah, totally.
So, and it's just like the bandwidth here is large. You can like do like a lot of shows in like a week. Whereas like when I was in VA, first off, like, bands would come through all the time, but not like you wouldn't be having like a ton of shows a week. Like if you had like 3, that was like, oh, there's a lot of shows going on this week.
Totally.
Whereas it's like here, there are some weeks where I remember there was one in November where we had a show every day from Sunday to the following Sunday.
Yeah, I played the last show of that
Which one was that
week.
one?
It was at Tamarack. It was like the OS kind of show, Stand Tall, From One Hell, Posing Force.
No, that was December, bro.
No, that was November.
No.
It was. Yep.
The Stand Tall Tamarack show was in
mid-November, bro. November 16th. I remember the date. It was that week.
That is tripping me
I
up
I
right
think
now.
I might have played the first show of that week too, which was I think Leave No Doubt in San Jose.
Yes, that's correct. That was a sick one. And the Tamarack show was beast mode.
Dope.
That was fire.
But yes, I remember that week what you were talking about.
Yeah, and so it's just like that was like kind of like.
I mean, this last weekend there were 4 shows in one weekend. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
there was.
Look at the.
There was the
fucking
one.
RNRG page,
There was the
but-
one Friday, and then I was out of town for the one Saturday, which is the Scowl benefit gig.
Yep.
Then there was the one There was one Sunday. Wasn't
That was
there?
the Scout benefit.
Oh, that was Scout Benefit. What was Saturday? There was something. Oh, there was 2 shows at once.
I don't remember.
It was co-defendants upstairs in Neck of the Woods, which is like an no effects thing.
Yep.
And then downstairs was the other one. Man, it was like a Burial Slam. Burial Slam downstairs.
Yeah.
And then Sunday was a Scout Benefit. And then Monday there was another one. That was the one that I told you about earlier. I was like, I'm too tired.
Yeah.
Didn't need
I
to handle that
unfortunately was playing shows down south as well during that weekend.
Were you?
Yeah. We Stan Tall played a couple that we played Orange County.
I didn't
and
know that.
Los
Oh,
Angeles.
we should have just fucking combined.
Well,
it's like shit
it was all
happens.
good. It was dope.
It was chill. I mean, like, y'all would have been lit on the midnight hour gig.
It would have been sick, but hey, whatever. It's all good.
So we're playing together in March,
Yeah.
so I got to work on the rest of that. But anyway, but yeah, so that's kind of how like RNRG came, how like, I came to be involved with that or whatever, and then like kind of talk about this, that kind of culminated into like me feeling even like more like a part of the scene here.
Yeah,
and, like,
definitely.
Like being like homies, like friends like you and like stuff like that. And then like last summer, myself, Danny, and Dirt and Jaffe started putting together RBS, like the actual RBS Festival.
Yeah.
RBS has occurred before as an event,
I remember.
like which I never got to go to any of those. Oh wait. Nah, not really. Like I was thinking of like the 2 tsunami dates at Cornerstone, but that's different. But
Those are actual shows.
Those actual shows. I didn't get to go to the one that was in San Jose. I didn't get to go to the one that was in Oakland, and I remember I wanted to go to the one that was in Oakland around when that happened. But so I've been flying back and forth between Virginia and here all throughout the pandemic because no one was flying and flights were like
Cheap as
$200,
fuck.
dude.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Dude, so I was flying cross country on planes with like nobody on them to hang out with my girlfriend before I moved here,
Hell yeah.
and it was like nothing. All of a sudden, stuff started opening back up, and like airlines were like, "We have to make our money back." So I wanted to fly here for the Oakland.
It's like $1,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I
Yep.
was like, "Oh, I guess I can't.
Do that.
Guess I can't go." So I didn't get to go to either of those. Was there another?
Yeah. So
What was the RBS 2?
So the first one was obviously Gulfstream, all those
Gulfstream,
bands,
all the
and
bands,
then
yes.
the next one was I don't know if this
Like
occurred.
Gulch Spy.
I don't know if this occurred before or after the other one, but yeah, that was like Gulch Spy's first show. Dead City played up here.
That's right. That was right after. It was right after. It was
And
the
then-
weekend after or some shit.
And then the third one was really dope actually. It was like Extinguish, Fentanyl, Tsunami, and then Lead Dream, and
Where was that?
It was like punk rock flea market. It was in San Jose.
When Joseph stole the long hair. Yeah. Okay, I know exactly.
I don't. I think those were. I think there might have been one more band, but I don't remember who it was.
But those are the only actual like RBS.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
like the DIY
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
So then, we like kind of like put together like, all right, let's like the Bay is so popping, man. Like it's like such like it's like number 1 scene in the country, and I say that as somebody who moved here as an outsider.
Oh, dude,
Like,
yeah, it's
so
awesome.
so I can say like, no, dude, like this is number 1. So I was like, okay, well, there's all these damn festivals everywhere else. There should be a proper festival in the Bay.
I agree. For Northern California.
Yeah,
I mean, Sound and Fury kind of has down south, but they're like
But-
huge.
But also check this out too, and this is me coming in with like East Coast mentality. That would be like if where I was from was like, oh, we shouldn't have a festival because there's already a festival in New York City.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
so far away.
Yep, exactly.
It's like it's like the Bay is 7 hours away from.
There's
from down
no
south.
crossover.
That is like a different
Planet.
And you know what? I'll say this: Sean Riley of Sound and Fury messaged me after we announced RBS, and he was like, "Good job." He's like, "This is a sick lineup." Like, so he gave a tip of the hat. Like, it's like it's all good, and it's like I do think it should be separated. Not I do think both places should be represented as like their own thing because it's like Sound and Fury has also grown to not just encapsulate like hardcore.
Yeah, for sure.
Because with RBS, like what we wanted to do was we wanted to put together something that was like in the realm of like
United Blood.
Part of my influence was UB, but only in this realm. What made UB cool was it was like, hey man, this is in regards to festivals like bare bones. It's just a venue, and it's just bands that we think are cool. And
over a couple-day period.
And over a couple-day period, and the emphasis is on like hard moshing and just bands being cool. And it was like, yo, like let's get to the roots. Let's put on bands from here, and it's like kids in San Jose dance hard. Let's put like kind of a slight theme. It's like let's put together like kids hear like heavy music. Let's put together like a heavy sounding festival for kids to come out and dance hard to. Because at one point in time, festivals had like kind of like a feel.
Yeah.
And then as time has gone on, they've like they're not like they're bad or anything, but they all have kind of started to have like the same lineup or the same feel or the same energy.
I will say, I think the one that does it really good still is FYA.
Oh, well, so that's, in my opinion, as someone who's like, I've played a few of the early ones, and I've been like a couple of times since. That's the best one.
Yeah.
I think, because here's what Bob does. Bob stacks the headlining spots with the stuff that's going to bring people in the room, and then he just throws in his like playlist of what he's into at the time.
For sure.
Because it's like, yo, other festivals, they're not going to have Alienator on, and that band's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to have Killing Frost from Helsinki on, and that band's like sick. Silver from Italy. They're not going to have these bands. But Bob is like, no, this shit's dope.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's getting a spot because I think it's dope, not just because it's like what some agent emailed me and said this band should play your festival. So
you were gonna say, sorry, I interrupted you with the UB thing, but you said the thing you wanted to base it off of was
for UB. It was like UB was like all about like good dancing and just like people watching like hard, and like it was just like bare bones but cool. And with RBS, it was like, yo, man, let's just like 2 days in a venue that holds X number of people. Like, it's not, you know, it's like no bells and whistles. It's just about like the community, people that want to come through, and just like hard dancing. And like, you know, like there's a few kind of outlier bands that are like more like faster and stuff, a little more straightforward. But for the most part, it's kind of like it's for the moshers.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now, I don't feel like there's anything that like kind of like leans that direction, and I think representing the flavor of where you're from.
I think this is such a far away example, but the Northern Unfest stuff.
That's a great
good.
one.
Like
that's
that.
Actually, you're right. Northern Unfest,
but that's in Scotland.
That's in Scotland. But the thing with those
not
guys,
in the States.
Those guys is that like, yeah, that's all about like sick dancing.
Yeah,
and just like you see the videos from that, and it's like people like moshing like Division of Mind and like Demonstration of Power and stuff, and you're like, this like looks bomb.
Yeah,
you know, and so like that's kind of like what, you know, and like, no, like it's like, yeah, no pressure's on, but like for the most part, we're like, we're never gonna have like not hardcore on, like and like we're, you know, it's all about just like
the core.
It's about hardcore. That's like what we're doing, and I'm a guy who like plays in one of my bands is arguably just like a metal band.
No, for sure.
You know, so it's like that's the kind of stuff I like, but it's like when it comes to the community, and I had tried to make a festival before in Richmond that was like to my taste, and it didn't do that good. I didn't lose money, but it like broke even.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, okay, like
this one will do good.
It's doing great.
Yeah. How'd you get? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
How'd you guys get that Allegiance reunion?
Dirt. I don't know. So each of us basically, when we put it together, we're like,
yeah. How did you divide up the work,
dude? Equal. It was like just.
So
like,
who did you hit up?
Damn, I have like a list. Let's see. Let me think. Actually, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I will look at it and I'll tell you who were my contributions to it. Let's see. Okay, so my contributions to the festival. Snuffed on Sight.
Okay.
That was me. Extinguish was me. You know, my band. I think I was like Forced to Suffer and Monos were me. Fentanyl was me. Iron Front, I think, was me. I think Opposing Force too.
Hell yeah.
Pain of Truth was Dirt. Tsunami was Dirt because he's in it.
I mean, he's in it.
No Pressure was Jaffe. Big Boy. I don't even remember who had Big Boy. it was like I think maybe like Brandon was in the room or something. Yeah. You want to do this? Soul Search was me.
Dope.
Yeah. Well, like, one of the Soul Search guys lives around here.
He does.
He lives in like Martinez or something.
Does he come to shows?
Yo, yeah. all the time.
But sometimes.
But sometimes. And it's also like, I know what shows he's going to go to.
For sure.
He's going to like Reeks at like Gilman or something.
Oh, 100. Okay,
like,
sick.
Like he's going to like stuff like that. Condition one was obviously Danny. I was Foghorn. Desmadre was Danny. Human Garbage, Jaffe. You know, and then like the rest of it was like kind of like local stuff. Like,
for sure.
So it was like,
who got
again,
CI on the bill?
That was Jaffe.
That was Jaffe.
Jaffe did like kind of like the distant stuff.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
like
Scarab,
like, you know, like that. Like
Jaffe's got the huge.
Yeah.
The huge.
He's been around. Jaffe and I've been around kind of like the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And so it was like he got in kind of like the distant stuff, and like I've already got kind of like some ideas and a little bit of a short list for like next year, and it's nothing like crazy, but it's just kind of like people that hit us up afterwards to be like, oh, like is there any room or something like that, and as opposed to being like, no, I was like, you know, like.
Let's see.
I'll put a name down and like maybe like 2026, you know, we like figure some stuff out. But yeah, it's just, you know, like that's something that I think needs to be a part of the zeitgeist here.
So was it whose idea was it actually originally for the fest?
That's a really good idea, man. I think it was kind of one of those things where I don't want to say this.
Everyone kind of threw the idea.
Kind of, but it was like I think it was me going to Danny and being like, yo, let's do this. Like, we should do this, bro. And then Danny hit up like a group chat that we're in and was like, who wants to be a part of the planning? And Jaffe and Dirt were like, we do.
Yeah.
And then it just ended up just being like us four. I'm glad it's not just me and Danny.
Oh, that would be.
I'm glad that it's like.
That'd be stress.
You know, it's like we could do it because we do that with all the other shows, but like, it's like nice to have maybe some differing angles and opinions, you know, like whatnot. But yeah, that would be cool, and you know, plan to keep doing that and everything, and it'll be sick.
Buy a ticket.
Yeah. Oh yeah, buy a ticket. I would say probably by the time that this comes out, it's like about like halfway aggregated between day passes and weekend passes. It's probably like at right about 50%, and we're 3 months away, so it will sell out. It will sell out for sure. So yeah, like, you know, get one. Try to make it affordable. By comparison to other festivals. Other festivals are over $100.
Bro, it's $100 for 2 days.
Yeah, $100 for and
a million bands, bro.
Yeah, it's like I think
steal.
All together it's like 30, including the pre-show.
And if you don't want to pay for the pre-show, then just volunteer at Gilman.
That's true. You're gonna have a lot of volunteers.
So then there you go.
That one has about 200 tickets left. So probably by the time
that will sell out.
Yeah, that was absolutely selling out. But it's like that one's got like Otto hit me up today and was like, yo, this is how many are left or whatever. So it'll be sick, and like it will be like nothing like ins and outs are fine.
Yeah,
you've been to a show at Rio.
I've been to a bunch.
You've been to a show at Rio. You're like, oh, I can just kind of come and go. It's just gonna be a lot more people.
Yeah,
but honestly, that Tsunami show at Rio was 1,000.
It was like over 1,000.
Yeah. Like it was a little over 1,000.
It's the only Rio show I have not been to, I think.
Okay, same. I was out of town.
Yeah, me too.
So, but like that is like, I mean, we're doing like, you know, like 600 more people than that. So it's not really like gonna even be that much. And that show didn't have access to the other room.
Oh yeah, that's true.
In the big room.
Yeah, now it's back.
Now we're doing back and forth, both stages
for sure.
So there'll be you can play on one stage in the big room, and then there'll be bands on the smaller stage in the next room. So you can just go back and forth, you know, kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
So and Rio's been like really cool about it, and you know all that. So we're certainly chilling.
Let's go.
But yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a good time.
Speaking of RBS Fest, you're gonna be missing the first United Blood back.
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's not the same weekend.
Yeah, I think it is the same weekend.
No, it's not.
It's not last weekend? What
No.
weekend is United Blood?
United Blood's April 12th, but LDB is the same weekend as RBS.
Really?
Well, dude, the thing with that is like I think Sanford will be hit up Danny and was like, hey, like when are you guys doing RBS? And we told him, and I think that because United Blood came back, they were trying to they were going to do it that weekend, but they didn't want to do it the same weekend as United Blood.
That'd be insane.
Well, because I will say this. There is more of a crossover between LDB and UB.
Yes, because it's closer.
It's not. Yeah, it's like geographically, it's 9 hours away from each other, but like you're still going to get a lot of the same kids traveling. Whereas I think LDB was like, oh well,
It's across the country.
It's across the country.
Also, this fucking venue's so much smaller, bro.
Oh my God! Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could fill out the venue that the RBS Fest will be out with a
really stacked local show could fill out the whole thing.
Yeah, with like, only the local scene coming.
With only the local scene, and that's kind of what we thought about. We were like, yo, man, this is for the people around here.
Yeah.
If people want to travel, they can. Kind of our thought was like, kids will travel this year maybe, but they'll definitely travel the year after.
For sure.
So it's like pulling up on this year. It's like there'll be, you know, a lot of local draw, and then if kids see videos and it looks cool, they're like, you know what, I think I'm gonna make plans to go to that or whatever. But yeah, LDB is like, I mean, I played it once they went to the big venue, and it's like 2,500, like 3,000 type beat. It's like
that's crazy,
it's,
bro.
Again, what I was talking about earlier, I cannot believe that
how big it is.
Hardcore is in a place that can do that kind of.
Well, you're saying the record for the biggest fest of the 2010s
was
This is Hardcore.
This is Hardcore.
Hit 3,000 maybe once. Now
maybe one time.
Now Sound and Fury hits
5.
hits that shit every year.
Yeah.
Plus a bunch more.
Everybody watching this, it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's hard to sort of like sit with and appreciate something when you're like in the middle of it, if that makes sense. It's like this is such a crazy like golden era, you know?
Yeah.
That like as a young man when I was like a teenager and in my 20s and stuff, that if you told me it was going to be like that, I just like wouldn't. I'd be like, no, come on, man, like no way. And there's positives and detriments to the whole deal, but it is really crazy to see like, I don't know, man. It's just like it's even like on a smaller scale. It's like, you know, doing a show around here in Oakland, like Victory Stables or something, like on like a Monday, and like 300 people showing up. That's crazy. 300 people back in the day would be like, that's like the big show this year, you know. And it's like, and that goes for like a lot of scenes, not just like the one that I came from, but like I think like a lot of places. So it's like we're really existing in a beast time, you know, and it's cool. It's cool to be able to kind of be a part of it and help it continue and grow and keep going and stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any? Going back to United Blood thing, but do you have any favorite United Blood sets from over the years?
Dude, yeah. I missed the one that all my OGs are like, that's the one. I was still like, I was getting into more moshy hardcore, but in 2009, I was more into kind of like hardcore punk.
Yeah, totally.
There was a separate kind of scene in Richmond that was like different than just punk, but it wasn't like moshy hardcore. It was like hardcore punk around like these certain bands. And I was like just sort of being into like things like Bad Seed and like things like that.
Oh,
but
sure.
I wasn't fully there yet.
This was like 2006.
It was 2009.
2009.
Okay, and there was a year United Blood that all my OGs like talk about all the time about how crazy it was. And I've seen videos. It looks crazy. My favorite United Blood sets.
But what was the crazy set from that?
Chromax, which is
really?
Which now you think about like what they fucking play out there. Like there's a bunch of bullshit going on with them all the time.
Yeah.
And like you know, like who cares? Not who cares, but you know, it's like you can see Harley Mags like play like, you know, like 100 cap club somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, they played down the street from me a few months ago.
At that time, they were not playing shows.
Yeah.
At
gotcha.
all. And so the fact that they played was like a big deal. Was a big
deal. Who do you remember which Chromags it was? Was it?
It was JJ.
Oh, it was JJ.
People at the time. This is at the time. People didn't rock with Harley.
Gotcha.
People were like, he's the bad guy. And like somewhere in there, he tried to like stab JJ at Webster Hall, and people were like really like, nah, like fuck that guy, like you know. And then now people are like, oh, he's like the better one, I guess, which is really crazy to see. The switch up.
JJ's also I think he kind of went off.
Well, he went off the deep end. At the time, people thought Harley was more off the deep end,
but sure.
Now people are like, oh, that guy's like fine. You know?
Yeah, totally.
I saw Harley Mags in October. It was sick. I did a show for them back in Virginia, and it was fucking fire.
Hell yeah.
But it was like Terror, them, and like Haywire.
Oh well,
yeah, it was pretty lit.
How could that not be sick?
It was pretty lit. Well, also when you see Harley Mags now, he like JJ Mags plays the same set every time. Harley Mags will like
play like Best Wishes.
Like he'll put some Best Wishes shit,
like Alpha
even some
Omega.
maybe like even some later shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But so my favorite United Blood sets. Let me think. I can kind of think of them throughout the years. There was a Take Offense set in 2011.
Hell yeah.
That was really sick.
That was like right when they were.
That was like right when they were like it was like
coming out.
Tables were out. Tables was out.
Yeah.
Richmond super fucked with Take Offense like that went hard. We had a lot of California bands that year. It's like Alpha and Omega played.
Oh, dope.
Minority Unit. I wasn't a part of the organization though. I became part of the organization in 2016. So these are just years that I was just going. And then the year after was the Power Trip set was still legend.
Yeah.
People still talk about how legend that set was. They covered like Leeway. They were throwing like Mardi Gras beads.
Hell
in the pit. It was like a good like kind of a good vibe. 13. I don't really remember what like the big set was. That was a Down to Nothing and TUI headliner year.
Hell yeah. Oh wait, that was 2013.
That was 13.
Oh, that was probably like the last time TUI played Richmond for a while.
Because they did the hiatus right
Yeah.
after. Yeah, you're right. Good memory or like like good context. 14 was Hatebreed played, and Hatebreed didn't play stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were like on like their like
Festival
bit, and so
barrier shit.
They played no barrier. Like, dude, it was just like monsters in the pit killing people. Like,
yeah, I'm sure.
King 9 dudes, like 100 Demons also had a really cool set that year that were like everybody in the pit was like my size. It was dope. So it's like all just like big
dudes,
big fools at getting after it. And then 15 was Freedom.
Oh, okay, nice.
Freedom had a crazy one that year.
Wait, what year was this? 2014?
15. If you look it up, look up the YouTube video of it. There's not a single person in the room not moshing. It is
really?
crazy. I think dudes in Freedom still say, like, oh, every so often I'll go back and watch that and be like, yo, what the fuck?
That was like kind of their time.
That was their time.
For sure.
Yeah. Like they were on the come up. Well, United Blood was good on that because it was like that was kind of a tastemaker.
That's kind of like how FYA is now.
Agreed. FYA took United Blood's spot in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was like a tastemaker festival. So there was always a breakout set every year that was like that's the next hot band.
Yeah, for sure.
16 it was Regulate.
Okay, nice.
So they smoked it in 16. 17 it was Trail of Lies.
Okay.
That was their kind of like really hot time period. Smoked it. Now 18's a tough one. 18 was my favorite year, but all around I don't remember what the like Mind Force had a good one. That was they were kind of on the rise right then. I remember they had like a heater. But that one was just like a solid one. Like Turnstile played. This old Richmond band, Count Me Out, played. I was really excited about them playing. Madball played. Death Threat played. It was like really, they really like had like a solid, like we had a solid lineup that year. And then 19, I don't really remember. 19 was kind of a rough year.
That was the last one.
That was the last one. We planned one for 2020.
Yeah,
that didn't
didn't happen, obviously.
And then now, I mean, I can only speculate what's gonna hit. They smoked the lineup this year. Like it is so good. There's some like stuff on there that I'm excited about that's smaller that probably won't have like set of the day, but like No Idols, I think that band's sick.
Yeah.
There's a local Richmond band that's like kids, like high schoolers. I think they might be out of high school now, but this band called Wasted Space. I'm really proud of them.
They're awesome.
Oh, they rock.
Yeah, they're dope.
They are killer. Hard Stripes coming back for one. Like the Division of Mine, Killing Pace unit will have some good stuff. I mean, War Hungry is one of my favorite bands, so it's like that will be. I just flew to Philly for like 24 hours to see them. It was dope.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so sick. Was that when they played? It was
the Brad Robb Memorial, the guy who passed away in Eternal Champion.
Okay, nice.
And Summerlands, and it was like Cold World. Eternal Champion is like another one of my favorite bands. Did
Death Threat play that?
No, it was a pretty much just a metal show with Cold World.
Oh, okay.
It was Cold World, Eternal Champion, Summerlands, War Hungry.
Okay,
and it was so nice. Brendan from Rival Mob, like in Summerlands, split the set with the original singer of Summerlands, and I'd never seen Summerlands before. So Brendan comes out for the second half of the set, and bro, his singing live
is probably insane.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like I was like blown away. Like by how like just like how good he sounds.
I mean, there's that one video of the Rival Mob playing like, and he just hits the fucking metal screen.
Dude, yeah.
It's
I want to
awesome,
say that one
dude.
was in like the UK.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it was
looks
in the UK.
awesome.
But I mean, like he's just like every band that dude's been in is pretty fire. Magic Circle, Rival Mob, Summerlands. He does his other like power metal band called Savage Oath. That's like pretty cool.
Yeah,
he's got a really long list. You know, so it's like
he's got the resume.
He's got the resume. He's got the aura.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like United Blood will be good this year. It's a lot of festivals now. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of them.
There's many in April.
3 to be exact.
Let me think about it. There's us, LDB, United Blood, and there's one in Atlanta. House of Disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one in Atlanta, and then I
Yeah.
think there's one early May. But that's in Glasgow. That's Northern.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's
any international shit. It's like, bro.
But dude, here's the thing. From the East Coast, it's the same distance.
Yeah, true. I guess.
I didn't think about that till I moved out here, and I was like, I used to think
Yeah.
going to Europe. I was like, oh my god, it's so far,
Bro.
And
It's
then now I'm like,
it's fucking
now
far
it's
from here,
far.
bro. I went to Europe for the first time this last summer, and brother, like getting back, it took me like almost a full day.
Bro, that's what happened to me. I got
Yeah.
stuck in Istanbul for like 24 hours. 'Cause I went on tour there at the beginning of 2024, and I got stuck in Istanbul for 24 hours, and it was a direct flight from Istanbul.
Oh,
so
it's like a 15-hour
dude,
flight or
it
some
was
shit. Yeah,
dark.
yeah, I bet, bro.
But yeah, so it's like, when I was growing up on the East Coast, I was like, oh, Europe's like not that bad. Because I know fools from the East Coast that go to Northern RNRG.
Yeah.
They're like,
Oh, for sure.
It's like right there or whatever. Just like I feel, even though it's still hella far, I know way more people over here that do stuff in Japan.
Totally.
Whereas on the East Coast, you're like,
Yeah.
that is literally
a lot
the
more
other
like
side.
California bands hit
Yeah.
Japan.
Well, exactly. A
than,
lot
like,
more
say-
California bands hit Japan. Like
Yeah.
a lot more Australian bands come here, which is
Oh,
still
yeah, definitely.
so far. But like Speed rolls through, AWOL rolls through,
Primitive
like,
Blast.
Primitive Blast, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the last time Primitive Blast like toured America though, half the people were from Richmond.
Really
It was like I think like Jay Cox from Division of Mine played for him, and this random fool Ross,
dope.
who's in this band Earth to Heaven.
I saw them. I think the last time they played, and it was at the Roxy with Scowl
Sick.
and Spy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That must have been like more recently. They must have had the Australian lineup for that. But yeah, they rip. That's a good one.
That's dope.
Oh hell yeah! But lots going on.
Well, another thing I wanted to talk about was new band.
New band.
With my
new
boy
band.
Otto.
My homie Otto.
His first hardcore band.
First, my young head Otto, dude.
So, what's kind of the deal with Eliminators, bro? It was good timing that it came out.
Yeah, it's like the day before
it
this.
came out yesterday.
Yeah,
which I did not plan that at all.
No, Eliminators, bro. Okay, so
what's the deal with that? How did that get started? How did like the idea get tossed around with that shit?
I grew up being a part of that hardcore punk scene I referenced. That was like more like I'm gonna list some bands that like people right now probably don't know because it was kind of like niche at the time. But like it was like bands like Government Warning and Wasted Time. Out here there was a band called War Crime from San Francisco that was like it was on part of this label. This stuff was also kind of like in tandem with like some stuff that would kind of pop up in Boston, maybe like in the early 2010s. So like when like the new scene stuff started, so it was like Waste Management and what would become like things like Boston Strangler. Around this record label No Way put out the Boston Strangler demo.
I do know that, man.
You're gonna start.
Awesome.
Well, so there was a proto scene to that turned into what that was.
Okay, gotcha.
So I was kind of in that proto scene, and like that scene was pretty like nihilistic and kind of like a little drug heavy.
Okay, gotcha.
So I never
not your vibe, obviously.
I never really felt like I like the music a lot, but I never really felt like I can think of like dudes in that scene that like passed away from like
For sure.
overdoses and stuff. But the Boston stuff that was kind of like the
Super
next
straight
step,
edge.
super straight edge.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that stuff I can get down with, like bands like Blank Stare and Step Forward and stuff like that. And like I always like, I've always like wanted to do something like that. I did a band called Community Corrections Program when I was a kid that was like of that nature, but it was like a little short lived before I did Breakaway. And I moved out here and I was like, oh, like Like I moved out here into 2021, like really beginning of 2022. And I moved out here and I was like, oh, like kids are kind of into different stuff than like is my normal flavor. So I never really felt.
I mean, it was
like,
very, very. I mean, it's shifted a little now, but it was all
at the time
beat down,
very heavy. And that
Yeah.
was, there were other than like Division of Mine there and like Dead and Dreaming kind of, there was nothing like that back from where I grew up.
Yeah, totally.
So I was like, like it's like I'm happy to help put on these shows and like help people, but like a lot of this stuff isn't really like my pedigree.
Of course.
So I never really felt like I was like, there's nobody like I don't know anybody who really wants to like make a band like I would want to make. I think I even posted when I first moved out here is like, does anybody want to make a band like Career Suicide or like Boston Strangler or something? And like I got nothing.
Crickets.
Yeah, I think Malachi hit me up.
Oh
but,
yeah,
but, like he's like busy.
There's no way he's coming into a band.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, whatever. So then I as time went on, I can't remember, but I honestly I can't remember. I think we talked about it. We talked about it before we were recording. That Magnitude show.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. I was like, this is an all straight edge band show. There's like 300 people here, and there's hella X'd up people here. And I was like, where are all these people coming from? Like, what's going on here? And I was like, And so for a minute, I was like, oh, what if I make like a heavy straight edge band, like Throwdown or Cast Aside or something?
Yeah,
I
totally.
was like, that could be like all right. But I was like, MAD already kind of has
is heavy
a mosh aspect to it, even
Yeah.
though it's like really metal. And I was like, I don't really want to do like another of those. So somewhere in there, I was like, yo, what would bring people together that normally wouldn't really come together here? And because I love Fentanyl, the band.
Yeah.
Like, I like love that. And I was like, but something I kind of feel about the band is I'm like, I feel like when they play shows, there's maybe one other band on the lineup that kind of sounds like them, and the rest will be like maybe a little different or like a touring band or something like that. And I was like, they need more like San Francisco based bands to play with.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's like you're in my house. It's like I'm just north of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
I'm probably like 15 minutes.
15 minutes away. And then Otto and Will live in the city.
Yes.
And so it was like, okay, let's make something that's like based off of being around that area. Because there's already a lot of bands in South Bay. There's already a lot of bands in East Bay. And it's like, let's add another one for this or whatever. And I was like, okay, like, let's make a band that there's obviously for lack of a better term, a market for straight edge music here.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let's put that aspect in there. I already had the idea for the shield and the look and everything.
Kind of oi vibes.
Well, and the oi showed up in the music by accident. I did not mean to put that because that's the first stuff I've written since Breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
I did not mean to put that in there, and it just appeared.
You play guitar?
I play bass poorly.
Okay,
gotcha. I can write music. You don't want me to play for your band.
Totally.
So
I get the vibe.
I can like be in here and be like, okay, do this. But if you're like play that live,
that's kind of how I'm good on guitar. Except I am playing guitar in a band at some point.
So you're probably better than me. So I was like, I was thinking about like homies like Elliot and like people that live in the city and stuff like that. The guys that have like skinhead guys. Yeah. And I was like, they need a band that like is kind of like what like leans into like what they're into or whatever. And so like the oi kind of found its like way in there. But I was like I also want to appeal to like this like kind of burgeoning straight edge thing I've like kind of seen here. But like kids only have like a 3 bands right now. But all 3 of those bands are kind of like far away from each other in a way, like Feel the Flames, Stand Tall, and No Right. Yeah. But they're not. It's like not like y'all are like chilling, totally. Kind of thing. You can play a show together, no problem. Like, it would be a good show. But it's like, I was like, okay, so I want to like get something that's like pretty blatant about that. That's where the BASE came from, like
For sure.
Bay Area straight edge. I was like, you know what this is about.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then the third thing was I was like, I want to make a band that plays shows with Fentanyl. I want to make music that sounds like a band that plays with Fentanyl. So, because I go to these punk shows in the city in East Bay that are promoted by somebody else. And sometimes they're at like a 21 and up club. and there's not like a ton of people there. And in my head, I'm like, bro, it don't gotta be this way.
Yeah.
You can have people rolling in doing this.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like you can have people like I do shows, myself and Danny do shows for tons of people, hundreds of people show up. It's like, yo, like we need to combine, because that music is more my bag.
For sure.
And I'm like, yo, let's come on. And immediately after the Eliminators demo dropped, I started getting hit up by those types of people being like, do you want to play shows? And so I'm trying to bridge the gap between capital H hardcore in the Bay Area and then hardcore punk around here. And I wanted to make a band that was like, we're doing both, bro. We can play a show with Deprave and Fill the Flames, like mosh bands, or we could play a show with like the Losers and Fentanyl and totally rip it. There's a whole vision to this. I even have a vision of like what I want. I want every record to have a different shield on it. As like a different, like kind of like Pokemon style. Like the simple one on the first one, a little bit more of an elaborate one on the next record, then LP, like a really crazy,
like lions and shit,
like rampant lions, like cross swords, like kind of thing. Like I have a vision for it, like, and we're all excited about doing it. Will Henderson is in mad bands. Carlos is in Doomsday. Doomsday is outstanding. Like
From One Hell.
From One Hell as well. Sings for 2 bands, so he knows the 2 bands singing.
Who's playing guitar?
Otto.
All right.
The homie, the young bro, Otto. Otto, his first hardcore band. Like, I won't blow up a spot, but he's a legacy punk rock prince. So it's like he's kind of the other like we're all in it, but he's kind of the other main. He and I wrote the demo together. I went to his apartment, like in the city, and I just sat there with a bass, and he sat there with a guitar, and I was like, okay, let's try this shit out. And we wrote it together, and it's awesome.
How'd the Convulse thing come around?
So I did a band called Sentinel. That was like, for lack of a better term, like kind of like a super group that was like made super by the other people in the band that are not me.
Gotcha.
So it was like Mike Shaw from Mind Force.
Oh, dope.
Will Hurst from Restraining Order.
Yes.
Jack from Age of Apocalypse,
Okay,
and Cross of Disbelief.
Yeah.
And then this bro Evan, who I do a new wave project with called Rose Chamber. But anyway, Mike Shaw came to me during the pandemic and was like, "Do you want to do like a thrash, kind of thrashy Motorhead, like a crusty thrash band?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, dog, I love that shit." So he was like, "Okay, well, let's do it." So he wrote a demo. We put out a demo, and then that was on Streets of Hate. And then, because the Hudson Valley Connect with him,
Of course.
and then Convulse like was just like, Adam was starting off because I didn't know Convulse started late.
Oh yeah.
Convulse started in 2018. I thought it'd been around way longer, but he was like, "Yo, like I want to do the Sentinel LP." Maybe Mike shopped it to him, and we did that. So I already previously worked with Adam. The unfortunate thing is right after the LP came out,
the pandemic happened.
well, no, the pandemic had been over. I was already living out here.
Oh really?
We only played 3 shows. And Mike was like, "Hey man, getting everybody together is too hard."
Yeah.
Like, because Restraining Order was doing so much, Mind Force was doing so much, Age of Apocalypse was doing a lot at the time.
Yeah.
And he was like, "And you got to fly out to the East Coast to do this." He's like, "I don't want to do it anymore." So I felt bad because like we had this record, and I listened to it back. I think I listened to it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "This is still pretty fire." But through that, I hit up Adam, and I was like, "Hey, like, I got this thing that someone described as 86 mentality meets step forward. Like, here are the songs. What do you think? You want to do the demo?" And he was just like, "Yeah." It was like easy. And so, yeah, I was just like linked up with him. Also, there's another thing, another vision. There's around here, I was like, he had done an Urban Sprawl record and he had done Fentanyl. And I was like, I told him, I was like, I want to make like SF, like a stronghold kind of for your lane of punk.
Totally.
Because I wanted it to be promoted to punk people. I can promote my own shit to hardcore people. I've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I wanted punk people to hear it and see what they thought. Because sometimes, say they come out,
maybe that'll bring them over to the.
If it had come out on Streets of Hate or something, or if it had come out on Triple B or something like that, punk people might have been like, "I'm good."
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I don't really like stuff on there. So I was like, people know me from various shit, so they're like, "Oh, like I'll listen to Eliminators because Ace does it, or like I know Will Henderson or something." But then like the punk people that like maybe like are tapped in on Convulse because they like Speed Plans or Yam Bag or Fentanyl will be like, all right, let me see what's up with this, you know? And so it's all like calculated, but in a way that's just kind of like, I love calculating shit like this. I love kind of like, it's like the same thing as booking shows. So it's like, it's calculated, but it's also kind of like, now it's just like about just like playing and having fun. We have hella shows lined up. We got 2 in March, 1 coming up next weekend, and then a really sick one for April that'll be announced somewhere in here.
Dope.
So you're just hitting it, you know, like, and it's gonna be. I think we're gonna start writing the 7-inch like in February.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to like just go.
Keep it going, yeah.
Yeah, just like, I mean, shit. If it can work out the way I want it to, I want to do LP out next year. So 3 things of music in just like
in a year,
a couple of years, you know. But that's I don't. But it's hardcore punk. There doesn't need to be any more than that.
Yeah.
It just needs to be those 3 records. Even Otto doesn't even really want to do an LP, but I'll convince him.
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, you want to, dude.
It'll be dope.
You want to.
You'll get to do cool things off of it.
Yeah. Well, we're already getting like people. I think we just hit it at the right time.
Yeah.
I think we just dropped it. It's only been a day, but I think people. Mike Shaw hit me up, like Mike Force Mike, and was just like, yeah, seems like people fuck with this. Like that's like awesome, and it does seem like people fuck with it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to play, and just to be able to be a band that's a part of like the scene.
And it's straight edge.
It's like I'm excited to play with Stand Tall. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I'm excited to like play with like other like bands like that. Like, that was an inspiration. Like seeing y'all play stuff, I was like, yeah, dude. Like I want to be able to play with like this band. You know, so that's like, you know, like that's it. But I'm excited about it. I have a tendency to like count my chickens before they hatch and get my hopes up about things, but like I feel good about it. And
you're optimistic, bro.
I am an optimistic person. I can be a little obstinate on certain things when I'm like bummed on something, but for the most part, I tend to err on the side of things are gonna be good. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah. Eliminators.
Eliminators, check it out, Uncles. Shit like that.
Eliminators. Get a tape.
Last thing I kind of wanted to talk about was obviously you're a soldier of the X.
Oh yeah.
I mean it's in your fucking username.
Technically my entire life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how'd you kind of like find straight edge, and like I guess why are you still straight edge? You know,
Good
probably
questions.
like, you know, 20 or decades later.
I was 16
you know?
when I officially claimed, so almost just shy of 20 years.
Yeah. So what's your story, I guess, with straight edge?
Straight edge. So when I was a kid, I very much so, I believe things people tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was growing up and like my parents were like, drugs are bad, I was like, okay.
Me too.
Like, you know, I'm like, you said it's bad. So I'm right there with you.
Literally me too.
Yeah. So it's like, I believe that. And then I'm an only child. I got stepbrothers later in life, but for the first like 20 years of my life, it was just me.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't have like siblings until I was like an adult. I like would spend a lot of time watching movies as a kid and like playing video games and stuff and like the bad guys in movies were always like drug dealers and like, you know, like we're smoking or
For
you
sure.
know, like that was kind of the energy. So in my head I was like, the good guys don't do this. And that was like watching like Heroes on things. I was like, as a kid, as like a single digit age kid, I was like, I don't want to be like the bad guys.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there, you know, and I was also like a pretty nerdy kid. So like, it wasn't like I was ever around anybody that was like, hey man, do you want weed?
Me too.
Like, yeah, I was like, I'm like, you know, I'm like kind of a fat kid in like a Hawaiian shirt and jorts that's like playing like, you know, like GameCube at my house. Like
Hell
I'm not
yeah.
like anywhere like, you know, like
Hanging out at the
hanging
skate
out
park.
like, yeah, no, like, you know, and like but I was a little obstinate to claim when I was a kid because I was into punk and there was some straight edge kids around town that like I didn't get along with.
Oh, okay.
Through a series of events, we just like weren't friends and like had like friction and like fought each other sometimes and stuff.
Did you ever like dabble in stuff either?
No.
Yeah.
No. And so like I had like a problem with these guys, and in my head I was like, well, I don't want to claim because those guys are straight edge. I don't want to be like them, even though I don't want to do drugs or smoke or like have like a lot of like random sex or whatever. And but somewhere along the way, another one of my punk friends was like, "Yo, man, you're straight edge," and I was like, "Nah," and he was like, "Dog," he's like, "I'm straight edge. He's like, you don't do any of this stuff. You like Minor Threat, you like Youth of Today, like, come on." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I guess you're right." And then I, where I kind of like felt a little more like in with his, like I learned about the Boston Crew guys, and I was like,
Totally.
oh, like Al Brill, he's like a hockey player. I was a football player. I was nerdy, but I played sports and like lifted a lot of weights.
For sure.
So I was like, oh, like, he's like a hockey player. Like, I'm a football player. Like,
he's cool.
And then like I found out about my favorite band was the Misfits. And at the time I was like, those guys are super not straight edge, but like I found out they were football players and stuff. And I found like I was like, oh, I thought like punk people didn't do this stuff. So I was like, okay, I feel a little more kinship with kind of like hardcore, like, and then I found out about 10-Yard Fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I am a straight edge football player. This is lit. I identify with this.
This is lit.
I found the MySpace of the singer, and I messaged him at 16, and I was like, yo, what's up? Just want to let you know, bro, I'm a big 10-Yard Fight fan.
Punishing him.
Stand and Fight is dope too. It was his band he did later.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, Stand and Fight's dope too. It's fire. Yo, what position did you play? I'm an O lineman. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Getting your whole life
He messaged me back.
Hell yeah.
And he goes, oh, yo, thanks. I'm glad you like 10-Yard Fight. But the whole football thing has always been like a joke. That was just to piss off like vegan punk people that didn't want jocks in hardcore. And he's like, but we play like pickup games in the parking lot. I was crushed. I was like, bro,
that's so funny.
What?
Yeah.
You don't even play football? But then Floor Punch,
yeah, I was
my
gonna
favorite
say.
band. Those dudes are all, I mean, like,
They actually are.
One of them went to like play football at Notre Dame, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think maybe Bill.
Yeah, so I was gonna say Division I champs, bro.
Yeah. So that I was like, once I found them, and also it was like hard. It was a youth crew, but it was like, we're mean.
It's like, fuck you, youth crew.
Yeah, and I was like, this is the best band. This is the best band. I still think that. This is the best band to ever exist.
Dude, literally, I put it out there, best straight edge band.
Clear, no exceptions. It's just like and I've gotten to play with Floor Punch and like seen it a bunch of times, and like Porter, legend. Amazing band. So anyway, so I found out about that, and then locally, like Down to Nothing was very big, and they were big, kind of just like not even locally. They were big like in the genre.
Oh yeah,
there was a minute where they were like way up there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like going to see like them and stuff and everything, and like eventually those dudes that I didn't really get along with in the scene kind of like disappeared, even though I kind of started coming around hardcore in spite of them. I was like, I'm going to show up and they can't make me stop kind of thing. I didn't even like hardcore that much at the time. I think the first hardcore show I went to, I was like, this sucks. They're playing too fast. I can't understand the guy.
I'm out.
And now that band, the first band I saw, I was listening to this past week. They're great.
Who was it?
This band called Direct Control. Hardcore punk, like fast. I think they even have a song called I Like It Fast. Like,
nice.
It's sick. No Way Records, like the guy who sang for it drummed in mad cool stuff.
Hell yeah.
Same as Brandon Farrell, rest in peace. Anyway, so through that I was like, oh yeah, this is like me. And then as time went on, I like met a bunch like straight edge is big in Richmond, so like I'm meeting a bunch of other people that are like on the same like wave as me and stuff like that. And then like somewhere in there I was like, my homies didn't really like Youth Crew, but I was like, I liked it. Because I was like, I'm a jockey guy, and I like wear the jockey clothes, but I like hardcore, and like I would see like pictures of like Judge and Youth of Today, and I was like, that's what I want. And Floor Punch,
yeah, they're kind of like jockey.
Yeah, I was like, I want to do that, So I made Breakaway, and then that just kind of perpetuated that, like kept going and stuff like that, and it was just like that's like a part of who I am, and like what I identify with. And it's like I actively think about it sometimes, but most of the time it's just like breathing. I don't think about it in like not in an apathetic way, but it's like so ingrained in who I am that I'm like, that's just what it is, dude. You know? So and then like I hadn't done a straight edge band in a while. In fact, the band I'm in now is like borderline like a stoner metal type situation, but with moshing. Do me shit. Yeah, so it's like, I was doing music that was like kind of like not that, and then I was like, you know what though? I think I want to bring. We talked about earlier. I think I want to kind of like come back to that. And I could tell this homies hit me up and were like, "It's sick to see you doing straight edge hardcore again." Mm-hmm. So, a guy I was in Breakaway with, he's in Combust now.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, Eric. He said that, and I was like, lit, dude. He's also in that band Steamroll.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Eric's
bro.
got a good resume. He's
Dude.
an MAD.
So
Combust
still
and Steamroll.
still straight edge.
Still straight edge.
Hell yeah. Is all of Breakaway straight edge?
Everybody except one guy. And the one guy I'm still very I'm still in deep contact with. He's the guy who records my podcast.
Okay,
and
dope.
he's in Naysayer, Brace War, this band Earth to Heaven. He was in this band Tempter. Sam has been in a lot of stuff. Sam's one of my best friends.
I mean, Naysayer and Brace War.
Yeah, he's got like his resume is wonderful. He was in this band called Tough Luck back in the day. Records a lot of stuff back in Richmond. And just he's goated. He's a wonderful man. That's the only guy though. Everybody else is still down. There's only one guy I don't stay in that type of contact with, and I really should. He's like an older guy. Mm-hmm. He was like 30 when the band started, and we were all like 21.
Okay, word.
So he was like, kind of like me to Danny, honestly. Or I mean, God forbid me to Otto. I'm even older than that.
Yeah.
Otto's
younger than me.
Otto's 20.
Yeah.
And then everybody else, like my homie Dewey, he sometimes plays for this band Moral Law from Denver. He
they're like a vegan straight edge.
He's big vegan straight edge.
Yeah.
But like he was in this band called No Other Way, another straight edge band for a minute. But he like does a video game podcast in Richmond that I listen to every week, and Eric's out there doing Eric stuff, just like Combust, Steamroll, MAD when he can. So like I don't know, like love all those guys. But yeah, it's like that's kind of how it's just like, and I still, it's I think about it in like a positive, like I'm proud of this way, but I don't think about it like, I never the thought doesn't even cross my mind to be like, would I ever like
drink?
No, I'm like it's not even it's like being like the sky is gonna turn like yellow or something. I'd be like,
that's just not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen, kind
totally.
of thing. Like so.
Well, I don't know. The sky does turn yellow sometimes.
Yeah,
I will not lie.
I always make that analogy, and I'm like, wait, but the sky kind of turns every color.
Yeah, I ever seen a sunset?
Yeah, like some of the orange, it does that. Purple, it does that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's obviously that. Black is it right now.
Yeah.
So
white,
I guess.
Maybe.
So that's just a part of who I am. But yeah, flying the flag with Eliminators for that.
Hell yeah.
Forward, and I'm just gonna keeping it rolling. Keep rolling, dude.
All right. Well, anything you want to shout out before I shut this whole thing down?
Sure. Go to RBS 2025. Get some tickets at RNRGpresents.com. Listen to my podcast where I interview, much like Mateo here, I interview people involved in hardcore punk and metal. It's called Forum of Passion. Spin the Eliminators demo on whatever you want to stream it on. I'm in a band called Mutually Assured Destruction. That's like kind of like we talked about it a little bit, like a stonery kind of like hardcore band. Based out of Richmond, Virginia. Go listen to that. We got a lot of material. Got demo, a 10-inch, a 12-inch.
Records.
Yeah, Mad Records. You can go to mutuallyassureddestruction.bigcartel.com. I got shirts. I got records. I'll send them to you myself. And if you're in the Bay Area, follow RNRG Presents. Go to some shows where I feel like we have them literally every other day. I think I'm probably forgetting something. But I feel like, I mentioned it briefly. I'm in a new wave band called Rose Chamber that just released a split with a band called The Shape. Check that out if you like are into like dancey kind of gothy stuff. And I believe that's all of it.
Hell yeah! Well, thanks again, Ace. Appreciate it.
Shout out. Thanks for following up.
No worries. And until next time.
Until next time.